I'm on a mission, ladies and gentlemen. One of these days, I don't know which one it will be, but one of these days, I will draft a good fantasy football team, okay? A lot of people doubt us. A lot of people are saying that we can't do it. I'm here to prove them wrong. Hopefully today's the day. Hopefully our team is not disastrous. So let's go ahead and let's hop in this puppy draft. Thank you so much for everybody coming to hang out with us. Yes, I understand that we are a little late in the day. I mean, it's 8:30 Eastern right now. Took the family to a water park today. Don't know if any of y'all are from Texas. We went to Schlitterbahn. Of course, only the best. Had a lot of fun, but we'll have more fun probably in this fantasy football draft. We're going to be honest with each other. We're at 12. Okay, completely different than what we've been doing on the live stream earlier in the week. I swear to God, we had pick 1 or pick 2 in like 6 drafts in a row. Now, with pick 12, I am still familiar. I've already done almost 200 of these drafts on Underdog. So we've had a lot of picks at 10, 11, 12. I was in 3 drafts earlier today. And in those drafts, I believe we were like pick 6, 7, and 11, something along those lines. So we will be able to work from pick 12. Obviously, it really depends on what the board gives us. But please let me know if you were in this draft with us. Prod, always out here in every single one. Happy to see you, my friend. Leia says, I'm the economist at 8. The fantasy economist, to be exact, my friend. Jordan says, NBA Finals is over. Let's do a draft. Let's do a draft, my friend. Canella says, this is going to be the draft that wins it. I really hope so. I hope you're right. And Rec in here at 11 with us. So we are going to have to be quiet before we make our selection so we are not getting sniped here. We have Jefferson, Chase, Tyreek all off the board with the first 3 picks. Pretty much standard at this point. Obviously, CMC used to go before Tyreek Hill, but now I think more and more people are realizing that they should take Tyreek Hill and Cooper Kupp over Christian McCaffrey. And as CMC falls in ADP, we may have to make an update to our running back avoid video. Y'all know in that video, we included Christian McCaffrey, but that was back whenever he had an ADP at 3. So don't necessarily know if we are going to have him still. We'll see. We'll see. We will update. Okay. Now, A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs off the board at 7 and 8. Jeep Guy says we may be going with Bijan Robinson at 12. Yeah, so Bijan Robinson was also in the can't draft running back group, video, but that was back when Bijan had an ADP 5, 6, 7. I was back when CMC had an ADP of 3. So as these guys fall, I may begin drafting them. So Bijan Robinson makes it to us at 12. Possibly we go in that direction. Garrett Wilson goes off. So yeah, looks like this will be our first live stream Bijan Robinson draft. Like I said, I am completely fine taking Bijan Robinson round 1 in these Underdog drafts, but I want to see him after Eckler, and I want to see him in the same tier as Jonathan Taylor. So now that he's falling to this range, I will go ahead and I'll take him. We are going to go ahead. We are going to take Bijan Robinson at 12. I'm sure that people are pretty excited about that. We've been waiting for quite some time to do it on the live stream. So yes, let's do it. And for our first Bijan Robinson draft, you better be going down there, dropping a like on this live stream, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And of course, if you want to get in a fantasy football draft with us today, tomorrow, the next day, I am live streaming Underdog drafts literally every single day until the season starts. Go sign up for Underdog. You can use promo code FLOCK and they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get my 2023 fantasy football rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com. This is the puppy tournament. It's a $5 buy-in, $1 million prize pool, $150,000 for first place, $75,000 for second place. It's been open, I believe, for about 12 days, and there have been almost 200,000 entrants. So I definitely would try to get your teams in sooner rather than later, but nonetheless, available in damn near every state. You can see the map here. It's best ball, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. How I drafted over 700 teams on Underdog last year and won $150,000. But, ooh, G-Swiss goes CMC pick 5. Maybe they go ahead and take Saquon Barkley here. I mean, obviously you have The rumors circulating, oh, Saquon Barkley not at camp. This is concerning, blah, blah, blah. Stephon Diggs not at camp. This is concerning, blah, blah, blah. Of course, these guys want contracts. I mean, that's not necessarily a surprise to anybody. I'm assuming Barkley gets paid. I'm assuming Stephon Diggs gets sorted out in Buffalo. I'm still going to be drafting these guys. If I could get CMC at pick 20, sign me up. I would be very happy about that. If I could get Stephon Diggs as the wide receiver 6, sign me up. I'd be very happy about it. So that team at 3 is going to go ahead. They're going to take Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, a pair of Tyreek Hill at the 2-3 turn here. Reason they're doing this is to set up a week 17 correlation between Tyreek Hill, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson. Of course, I'm assuming that they go Lamar, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to do here if they decide to go ahead and take Mark Andrews at pick 22. Great Scott says, Saquon going after T. Higgins. I think it's crazy as well, my man. I will have a lot, and I repeat, a lot of Saquon Barkley if this is his price tag. Like I said, I think Eckler, Bijan, Taylor, and Barkley are all in about the same tier. But Artie says, ever since I started on Underdog recently, I can't stop. These early drafts are great. Big thing with the early drafts is you're just setting yourself up with so much upside to build super teams compared to right before the season, right? Like, I mean, way back a month ago, even, we were able to get Alexander Madison round 9. We were able to get Alexander Madison round 10. So I love building super teams super early. Mark says, Prod is in every stream. He is literally out here in every single one, which of course I appreciate. He says he's crazy. And yeah, he was the one that decided to go ahead and take T. Higgins there at 19. I agree. I think it's crazy, my man. I'm going Saquon Barkley there, but nonetheless, happy to see the team that you're going to build. Jaden says he got Pollard at pick 32 in an Underdog draft earlier. I don't know if I've ever seen Pollard fall that far. I've done like almost 200 drafts this offseason. I don't think I've ever seen it. Okay. Now, let's see. We have Ramadre at 30. So one thing I need to bring up here. Y'all know a pick that I liked in the 18th round looks to be already the worst 18th round pick that you could have possibly gone with. And I've drafted him in a decent amount of drafts, and I've said that I liked him on the live stream. I have James Robinson in 11% of drafts. We are drafting him earlier in the offseason, looking at the backfield in New England. Clearly, about the worst call I could have ever made, we made. Okay, so do not want to be backing down from that. Laughable that I was going through and saying that James Robinson was a decent pick with where he is going, for him to just be cut before freaking July. So, yeah, Rex says the James Robinson news hurts him as well. I mean, I don't know. It's painful. Now, here's what I want to do, right? F it. It's not just what I want to do. It's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Travis Etienne. I don't care. Give me the players I perceive to be the best value on the board. Now, this is why at the beginning of the live stream, we've said we've never been able to draft a good fantasy football team. Because probably the correct decision here is to go ahead and take Christian Watson over Travis Etienne. Well, even if that is maybe the correct decision, my monkey brain will not allow me to do it. I see the fact that I can take Najee Harris, Travis Etienne here at the 2-3 turn. Running backs that, historically speaking, pretty much any other year would be late second round selections. And I have a difficult time pulling a trigger on the wide receivers in this range instead. So it's tough. It's tough. Blade says, what's with Jacobs falling? I don't know. I think Rec just got very lucky with Josh Jacobs making it to pick 35. I mean, hell, Jacobs very rarely going that far. I mean, I was obviously secretly praying that we were going to get Josh Jacobs making it to us at pick 36. I think Rec knew that we wanted him. Obviously, he was going to take him no matter what. So, yeah, he's never had Josh Jacobs fall to him like this. Beautiful, beautiful Josh Jacobs selection to pick 35 in my mind. So here's what the smart drafters are doing, right? After we go through and make the mistake of taking Najee Harris, Travis Etienne at the 3-4 turn, we get a run of, I believe, 9 wide receiver or 8 wide receiver selections in a row. 8 wide receiver picks in a row right after we take Travis Etienne here. Okay. Tanner says, Mason, are you worried about Marcus Mariota taking Jalen Hurts' red zone touches away? So obviously when it's June, at the beginning of June, and we have no real news that we can look at, and we are just sitting here and thinking about a million different things and a million little details, and we're in drafts every single day, we can come up with some crazy worries and we can scare ourselves for no reason. My friend, do not be worried about Marcus Mariota hurting Jalen Hurts. Please, 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 please. When you begin to get thoughts like that, take a step away, right? Obviously, I'm drafting these underdog teams every single day until the season starts. But you don't have to. You can take a break, right? So if we're in these drafts so much that you start to lose your mind and we're starting to be worried about Marcus Mariota truly impacting the value of Jalen Hurts, you could always tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to go a day without thinking about fantasy football. Let's step away. Let's not go this far down the rabbit hole. And that's what I'd recommend here, my friend. But, okay. Now we have Kenneth Walker going off the board at 52. Nick says, Hurts over-under for rushing touchdowns on the season being 11.5 is wild. Never seen that for a quarterback. Is that what they have on Underdog right now? Let me go ahead and pull this up. If they have that on Underdog, honestly, that should have been something that I included. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the line that they have on Jalen Hurts rushing touchdowns right now, 11.5. Higher than any of the running backs. Obviously, y'all know I'm going through in all these underdog props. I mean, if they're season-long props, I'm always looking at the lower than. But that is crazy to see that line so high. And honestly, it makes me feel good about having Jalen Hurts ranked as my quarterback 1 overall. Makes me feel good about having Jalen Hurts ranked at QB1. I'll tell you that for sure. That's crazy. That Underdog has that line so high. Nathan says the Philly sneak is no joke. That is true, my man. That is true. All right. So, I don't mind where we're sitting here in this draft. Let's see what happens. Okay, Mole Sanis on the clock took Eckler, Waddle, Debo, and Terry McLaurin out the gate. Michael Pittman, 58. Rhett goes Aaron Jones. Oh. I really want to go Ayuk, Kittle. I think we may have to go Ayuk, Hollywood, however. You know what? If this was Best Ball Mania, or if this was like a high stakes tournament where maybe we're a little bit more worried about the points that we're going to get during this season, you know what? I kind of want Hollywood here. When we're light on wide receiver, I kind of want to lock in some points. I love JSN, and then some other builds. I would go Jackson Smith and Jigba ahead of Hollywood Brown. But specifically when we're wide receiver light through the first 4 rounds of our draft, only having, I believe, 1 wide receiver in Devontae Adams, I think we possibly want to go ahead and take the wide receiver that may have a little bit of a higher floor in Hollywood Brown, whereas y'all know generally we're trying to draft for the highest ceiling possible, which in most instances would have us taking Jackson Smith and Jigba here. I don't know. Okay. Okay, we have Jeep Guy coming out, says, Lawrence outlook this year seems like a value. Nick says, I agree with you, Jeep Guy. Love the price. So it's very interesting is if you are looking at Trevor Lawrence in these drafts, you'll sometimes see Trevor Lawrence plummet down these boards. Sometimes you'll see Trevor Lawrence fall to like the late 7th, where generally you're not seeing that kind of fall for the other quarterbacks. Like, very rarely does Burrow fall further than the 4-5 turn. Very rarely does Justin Herbert fall at around 5. Whereas Lawrence has that ADP in round 6, and you'll see him be one of the very few quarterbacks that just takes a random plummet past his ADP in this range. Maybe you're going to even see it in this draft here. We'll see how this shakes out, but okay. Nicholas says he saw him fall to 92. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if he's falling to you at like the end of the 7th, I mean, any point of the 7th round, I like him. What's tough is when you have Fields in round 5 and Herbert in round 5 as well. Like Henry says, Fields 55. Remember when he was a 3rd round pick? Yeah, I mean, I was not drafting Fields when he was a 3rd round pick. Hell no, I was not drafting DJ Moore when they went at the 3-4 turn. But now that you have these other quarterbacks falling, like Burrow to round 5, Fields to round 5, it's harder for me to say Lawrence round 6 is a great value just because all the other guys are falling, right? Okay. Henry says 173 likes, 463 watching. Drop that like. Yeah, if y'all have not done so already, hit the like button here. Helps us out a ton. If we hit 350 likes on this live stream, we'll fire up another draft after this. And of course, if you want to get in our next draft, Underdog Fantasy, use promo code FLOCK. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. Also, you'll get my 2023 fantasy football rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Okay. Bloodhound says, how do I get in a live draft on an iPhone? Yeah, so we'll be in the puppy tournament, my friends. So just go to the homepage on Underdog, go to the puppy, and hit enter the same time that we do, my friend. Now, Kyle Pitts makes it a pick 78. I mean, prod, super interesting build. Let's point this out. So he goes ahead and he takes Kelsey round 1, Higgins, Ramondre, Mike Williams. Then he pairs up Justin Herbert with Mike Williams, Deontay Johnson round 6, and then he grabs Kyle Pitts for the bully tight end strategy. Very, very few tight ends in this tournament are going to be sitting with Kelsey and Kyle Pitts. Very few teams. Yinbin says team 1. Everybody calling out team 1 here. Yeah, I don't necessarily love the team 1 builds. I mean, taking anchor wide receiver to an extreme level. I definitely think Prod's build is interesting and unique as well. And I honestly kind of would prefer his build compared to what you're looking at with team 1. Okay. Rec takes Gabe Davis. So we are not going to be able to go in that direction. Now, one Jeep guy's out here. So I feel like we maybe have to do it for him. And that is taking Darren Waller. And we have a video coming out tomorrow where we look at the wide receivers that are skyrocketing in fantasy football ADP in these underdog drafts. And Michael Gallup is skyrocketing. And if you would have asked me a month ago, if I looked at the Michael Gallup price point then, it compares it to the Brandon Cooks price point then, I honestly would have preferred to go ahead and take Gallup. But if I'm going to be revisiting Michael Gallup's overall profile, honestly, I think that maybe the hype has gotten a little out of control with Gallup with where he currently goes now. So we'll take Dak Prescott here at pick 85. I'm sorry, we'll take Brandon Cooks here at pick 85. Potentially set ourselves up with the ability to take Dak Prescott at the 9-10 turn. We need a wide receiver. I was initially thinking that Gallup had a real chance to go and be the wide receiver 2 there in Dallas. But I'm more and more hesitant to believe that today than I was previously. Now, you have Mo Lasanis, whatever the hell their name is, going Tua at 87. I guess they took Waddle 15, so it makes a little sense. But I mean, if I'm looking at this, right, and of course, it's just me, and I'm an idiot, but I would say, okay, well, the team at 3 that took Tyreek Hill took Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews at the 2-3 turn. So I don't know if they're really going to be looking at drafting Tua here. So I personally would probably make the mistake of trying to pass on Tua and see if he can make it back around to us at pick 106. But of course, I'm an idiot. Maybe he wanted of, and maybe that team just needed to go ahead and get that pairing with Tua as well as Waddle. Okay. So let's move this down. Zay Flowers, Elijah Moore, Michael Thomas all go. So I feel like, honestly, even though we go ahead and take Bijan, Najee, Etienne with 3 of our first 4 picks, I feel okay with our wide receiver room of Devontae Adams, Brandon Ayuk, Hollywood Brown, Brandon Cooks. And also taking Darren Waller, it does set ourselves up with the ability to only have to draft 2 tight ends and also the ability to grab Daniel Jones a little later on. So I like it. I like it. But Joey coming out says, I have 30% KT so far. He got a touch. Okay, we've actually made an in-depth video on this, my friend. So 30% Kadarius Toney so far, and essentially you're looking at the per snap rates for Kadarius Toney. It doesn't matter if you look at the per snap rates or the per route run rates for Kadarius Toney and how productive he is on a per snap basis or a per route run basis. Yes, Kadarius Toney will look like he's at the very top of the NFL. But, my friend, you know who also was ahead of Kadarius Toney with more routes run this past season than Toney himself? Laviska Shenault. Laviska Shenault was tied with Tyreek Hill, number 1 in the NFL with yards per route run, and he ran more routes than Kadarius Toney. Does that mean we should go through and draft all the Laviska Shenault? We can't. Nope. Does not mean that whatsoever. The reason being is Laviska Shenault is a gadgety type player that is never going to see that full workload. Kadarius Toney was used in a gadgety type role this past season, not as a prototypical wide receiver. Kadarius Toney ran like 10 routes in the Super Bowl, and there was nobody on this depth chart then, just like there's nobody now. So looking at the per snap, looking at the per route run numbers for Kadarius Toney, they are extremely skewed because the team did not use him. He did not run routes. He did not have many snaps whatsoever. So you can try to extrapolate based off of that, but at the same time, if you really want to go down that road, you're going to find yourself drafting guys like Laviska Shenault as well. And Blade says, speak for yourself, Shenault wide receiver 1 season. I would just be very worried about going through and looking at the per route run numbers, the per snap numbers when it comes to Kadarius Toney when he barely even played. He was a gadget option. Okay. Now, Jameson off the board at 107. So, yeah, I think honestly we have some easy decisions here. I think we're going to go ahead and take Juju Smith-Schuster. We get him about 7 picks past ADP. I don't love Juju. I haven't drafted a lot of them, but I mean, it is what it is. We need another wide receiver. And what I do really like is Brian Robinson at this price tag. I think Brian Robinson and Gibson are both decently priced in these drafts right now as, I mean, low end running back 3, high end running back 4s. Okay. There are more targets available in KC. I mean, what are we talking here? Juju Smith-Schuster's gone. They replace him with Rashee Rice. There's really nothing else that changes in Kansas City. Adam says no Danny Dimes. So big thing is, if we were looking at Daniel Jones here and how he would help this roster, yes, it would be nice to have some of that rushing upside and also him paired up with Darren Waller. But at the same time, I would say that he probably doesn't change the fact that we're going to have to draft 3 quarterbacks with this team almost regardless. So if we're looking at how he impacts us from a roster construction standpoint, I don't necessarily know how big of a deal it would be to add Daniel Jones here as our quarterback 1. Whereas if we draft Brian Robinson, we're definitely only going to have to take 5 running backs. Some people would say you only have to take 4. And then at the same time, if we take Juju Smith-Schuster, I mean, we just feel way more comfortable at wide receiver. So, I mean, if we were in a spot where we took, say, Anthony Richardson round 9, and then we could go out on the way back around and take Daniel Jones round 10, and we could say, okay, if we take Daniel Jones, then we're going to be able to save another roster spot and not have to go with the 3 quarterback approach. Then yeah, I think you could make a very, very strong argument that Daniel Jones should be our selection there. But I don't know. I feel like we're going to have to take 3 QBs no matter what. And Jeep Guy already knows what's going on. Like, why the hell am I going to take Daniel Jones when we can get a quarterback in round 17 that will score more points? And he'll stack with Brandon Ayuk. Like, serious question there. Okay, so Sky Moore off the board, 119. Professor says, is the Diggs news concerning at all or no? Personally, I'm not concerned, but like I said, I'm an idiot. Now, Nico Collins off the board, 120. So we have a little run on wide receiver here at the very end. So it's interesting, right? And I want to see how far he's going to fall. Is this team here had Mahomes and Lawrence. So even though Cousins falls 12 picks past ADP, they're not able to take Kirk Cousins to stack with Justin Jefferson. Where's the Jordan Addison team? This team has Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow. So they're not going to be able to take Kirk Cousins to stack with Jordan Addison. Yeah, they go Khalil Herbert. Where's the Hawkinson team? This team has Dak and Goff, so they're probably not going to take Kirk Cousins to stack with TJ Hawkinson. And this team doesn't look like they care about stacks anyway. I mean, they have an unstacked Dak Prescott. They have an unstacked Jared Goff. So you may see Kirk Cousins fall a ton in this draft here. Like, it doesn't make sense for anybody to take Kirk Cousins, it looks like. Joey coming out says, I like his upside more in large field tourneys. Juju and Hardman gone. Kelsey another year older, and he gets a full offseason. In my opinion, he could be used way more. 100%, right? Like, I think that you could say Kadarius Toney has a much higher ceiling this next year compared to what he did this past season. But it all does come down to the price point. So I actually made a video diving in deep with Kadarius Toney, calling him the worst pick in fantasy football drafts when he was going in round 6. At that point, he was going ahead of Mike Evans. At that point, he was going neck and neck with Tyler Lockett. He was going ahead of Deontay Johnson. I mean, here he's still going in the middle of round 6. So it really is going to be dependent on the price point that you're willing to pay, right? So if you're willing to sit here and say, well, you know what? I think that Kadarius Toney has a higher ceiling to make, us a league winner than what I would have with Trevor Lawrence, Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Swift, Dalvin Cook, George Pickens, Jordan Addison, Jahan Dotson, Treylon Burks. Then sure, Kyle Pitts. Go ahead with it. Just in my mind, I'm not betting on Kadarius Toney. I think that I would rather go ahead and bet on another Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver that is unproven and just kind of a projection. If I was going to bet on just like an unproven projection that you have in Kansas City, I personally would probably go ahead and just take Sky Moore, Rashee Rice at a cheaper price. Probably what we'll do right now. Probably take Elijah Mitchell as our 5th running back. Really love Elijah Mitchell at ADP. Definitely love Elijah Mitchell. We can get him beyond ADP. And we'll go ahead and we'll take Rashee Rice here as a wide receiver that I just want to say I'd rather draft Rashee Rice in round 12 than I would take Kadarius Toney in round 6. Now, of course, if you're going to look at my best ball rankings on flockfantasy.com, yeah, I will have Kadarius Toney ahead of Rashee Rice, but it's more so adjusting to the cost that they are at. So, trust me, rooting for you, my friend. I hope the Kadarius Toney picks work out. Just personally, it's not going to be something that I am looking to do this year. Like, I went ahead and I bought into his yards per route run. His target share per snap back as a rookie because I was saying, oh, okay, well, he was just getting injured in and out of games, blah, blah, blah. But then for a team to give up on him in year 2 after spending a first-round selection on him, and then for him to go to another team and kind of just be used as a gadgety type player after not being that strong of a prospect in my mind. I know he goes round 1 because of his athleticism, but still, I'm just not a Toney guy. But yeah, I actually like what we're able to do here at the turn with Elijah Mitchell and Rashee Rice. Christian says, when CMC goes down, Mitchell is a top 10 running back. Yeah, so if I'm looking at Elijah Mitchell, the reason I really like drafting him is simply because I think at the end of the day, if you are looking at Elijah Mitchell, this is a running back that will have a role even with the healthy Christian McCaffrey. I think the 49ers are good enough where they don't have to use Christian McCaffrey how the Carolina Panthers did back in the day. I think Christian McCaffrey can see maybe 65% of the touches in this backfield and get 30% of the touches for Elijah Mitchell in the league's possible best rushing offense. So I think you can get random spike weeks for Elijah Mitchell if he randomly scores a touchdown for him to go into your lineup. And then also you get the handcuff appeal if CMC were to go down. Okay. Now let me see. Neil says, hit that like. Yes, if you have not done so already, drop a like on this live stream. If we hit 350 likes in the stream, we'll fire up another draft after this one. And if you want to get in our next draft after this, Go sign up for Underdog. Use promo code FLOCK. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You will get our 2023 fantasy football rankings. Get a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Hell, best ball, no time commitment at all during the season. It's how I drafted over 700 teams last year, won $150,000. Available in damn near every state. You can pause the screen and see all the states right there. Okay. Now we have a run on wide receivers. Jonathan Mingo makes it to pick 146. I don't know the last time I saw Jonathan Mingo fall this far. So, I mean, you have wide receivers off the board. We have 6 of them with Devontae Adams, Brandon Ayuk, Hollywood Brown, Brandon Cooks, Juju Smith-Schuster, Rashee Rice. Definitely not that strong a wide receiver, not going to lie to you. I mean, obviously our strength is running back with Bijan, Najee, Travis Etienne, Brian Robinson, as well as Elijah Mitchell. You have Irv Smith Jr. and Sam Laporta going. I mean, Sam Laporta goes 149. I guess this is the team that took Jared Goff. Personally, I love to see Sam Laporta go in the 13th round because he is someone that I would never consider drafting in this range. So, I mean, feels good for me. I feel like we are more likely to get a player that we like making it back to us. Okay. Now, prod on the clock goes Roschon Johnson there at 150. So it looks like the last running back in this tier is Devin Singletary. Now, KJ Osborne goes 152. Cole Kmet 154. Jordan Love goes. Oh my gosh, what the hell am I supposed to do? Do we go Russ and then like a last round pick, Tim Patrick? Do we go Russ and then reach on Marvin Mims? Do we go Russ and then grab a wide receiver that we maybe like a little bit more like Jaden Reed? I mean, you notice we said we're going Russ no matter what, pretty much. I think when we don't have a quarterback yet, getting Russell Wilson, this is, unless I'm an idiot, 24 picks behind ADP. So getting Russell Wilson 2 rounds after ADP. We'll take him there and then do we just reach on Marvin Mims? I don't love Marvin Mims in this range, but I feel like for us to be able to take Russell Wilson for it to make sense. Looks like everybody wanted Jaden Reed. Okay, yeah. I definitely would rather have Jaden Reed in a vacuum over Russ. Just more so, I think if we take Russ, we definitely want a correlating piece there. I don't want to feel like we have to take Tim Patrick at the end. I'd rather feel like Tim Patrick is an option rather than a mandatory pick. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Russell Wilson and Marvin Mims. Now, what the dream would have been, I mean, the literal dream, would have been if we could have had Russell Wilson and Greg Dulcich both making it to us. But Dulcich goes off the board here, 151. So sadly, we are not able to get him. It is what it is. Okay. Mark says, let's get those likes up. 520 watching. Rex says, 40 more likes for another draft. Yes, if you haven't done so already, hit that like button. Hit that like button. Now, Gerald Everett off the board here, 149. Zone Chuba says Russ and Everett for week 17. So this is my issue with the week 17 stuff, right? People think that going through and targeting those matchups and trying to get your bringbacks in that correlation for that single week will be more important than getting the correlation not only for that single week, but also through the course of the entire season. Marvin Mims correlates much better with Russell Wilson for week 17 by itself, but he also does for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7. In my mind, a lot of the people that dive into week 17 stuff have not won anything, will not win anything, focus on the wrong thing, and they lose what's the saying? They lose the forest through the trees. What's the saying? Someone help me out with it. I mean, I would say week 17 bringbacks matter slightly. Like ever so slightly. But nailing your ADP value, your roster construction, your team correlation is going to be much more important than getting a week 17 bringback. Now, Carson says, can't see the forest through the trees or for the trees. I don't know. Jeep Guy says, your pup hasn't made an appearance in a while. Well, she is right down here. I will show her off. Come on. Get up, baby girl. I know you're napping, but you got to come up. They're asking for you. Come here. I know. She's napping. Give her a second. She's stretching. Come over here. I know. Get up here. Tell them hi. Tell everybody hi. So you were left all by yourself for 12 hours today when we were at the water park, weren't you? Yeah. Did you tell them to drop a like? Say drop a like. Join Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. Mason always has a dog under his desk to stay on brand. Right? Good girl. Go back to bed. Okay. So let's move this around. Kyler goes, I would have really liked having Kyler Murray make it back to us at 180 to pair up with Hollywood Brown. Wan'Dale Robinson goes, okay, so honestly, good thing that we ended up taking a wide receiver with that last pick. Maybe we get a little unique here. I don't want to say too much. Let's see what happens. Okay, so quarterbacks that work for us. Kenny Pickett doesn't really make too much sense. I guess he's fallen a little bit past ADP. Stroud, we can still grab a Houston wide receiver in the last round. Lance, duh. Okay, we may go Taysom. Literally, the only reason I feel like I have to take Lance here is because we're live streaming this, and I know someone that's watching this stream's probably going to think about taking Lance. Henry says do a $250 big dog next. Is the big dog live? Did they drop the big dog? Yeah, but like I said the other night, I'm very realistic with myself, right? I understand y'all do not come here because I am good at drafting fantasy football teams. I understand y'all do not come here because I look like a mixture of Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. I understand y'all do not come here because I have the body of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I understand y'all come here for one reason and one reason alone. And that is to see us draft Trey Lance. So we will go ahead. We will take Trey Lance. And we will make the bet that he is the starting quarterback this next season with a bunch of rushing upside. I know nobody else wants to make that bet, but I will make that bet. But Coy says, would Hall or Stevenson be better as a running back 2 behind Christian McCaffrey? Let me know your answer to this in the live chat. Personally, I was saying Hall before James Robinson was cut. But now that James Robinson was cut, who else is in New England? They have nobody. Legitimately nobody. So I want to kind of stand by Breece Hall, but it's a little tougher for me to keep doing that, to be honest. All right, I'm going to finish this draft out on our phone. I believe we hit 350 likes on this live stream, so we are going to go hop in another puppy draft right now. Before we get into it, I do want to point this out. I know a lot of y'all had a chance of watching the video, but I know some of y'all didn't, and almost all of y'all are on Underdog, so I feel like it's more of a warning than anything. Please, everybody, pay attention. When you go to these player props, these season-long props on Underdog, your first reaction is going to be, of course, Nick Chubb is going to have more than 8.5 rushing touchdowns. Of course, J.K. Dobbins is going to have 900 rushing yards. Please be very, 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 very hesitant to go and take the higher than mark on these lines. Personally, on season-long props, I'm never looking to do it. Personally, I'm always looking to find some spots that we can take the lower thans, specifically because you could have an injury where someone just misses 3 to 4 weeks, or their situation is worse than expected, or maybe they're worse than expected. There are so many different things that could happen for them to not hit that mark. So personally, I would highly recommend staying away from the higher thans on those season-long player props. Well, let's go ahead and let's get into a puppy draft now on Underdog. And I'm assuming we're going to get pick 1 or 2 because that's pretty much all we get on the live stream. I'm assuming we're getting pick 1 and 2. Never mind. We're getting 9, so we'll be able to mix it up here a bit. Last draft, we started Bijan Robinson and Davante Adams. Let's see what's going to happen in this one. Let me make sure I have my phone out. That way we are ready to make the other picks that we need to. Okay, with that other team, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I have no idea what to do. Ooh, actually, we may get something nice. Let's see. I don't want to say too much, but we may get something nice for us. Okay. Okay, we're going to get Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett does kind of correlate with Najee Harris, and I'm going to make a poor decision as well and take the third tight end in Hayden Hurst because I think he's going to score more than the wide receivers in this range, which, of course, is probably a horrendous pick. Neil says, bro, I'm at the turn every time I draft with you. First last time, 12th this time. All right. Well, hey, man, we got to see what you did at 1. Let's see what you can do at 12. Let's see it, my man. Let's see it. Okay. Now, Henry says, will this be your first Kelsey share on a live stream this season? We'll see. Maybe. Here's how I'd queue up these players. This used to be very different than ADP, but it's looking more and more like ADP today. Okay, Tyreek's gone. So then Kupp, Diggs, Brown, Kelsey. No, I'm sorry. Oh, Kelsey's gone. Okay. Kupp, Diggs, Brown, CMC, Lamb, Eckler, Bijan, Adams. That's how we queue these guys up. So let's see what makes it to us. Okay, Diggs goes. CMC off the board at 7. Matt on the clock. Let's see what he does. Adam says, this is the guy who took 6 straight running backs at 1. Wait, who's the guy? Are you saying you are the guy, my man? Okay, so let's move this down. We're going to get A.J. Brown, pick 9. I like it. Leah says, had a blast draft with you, Mason. Keep up the awesome content. No, thank you so much for coming in, hopping in to draft with us. Really, really appreciate you, my friend. Okay. Already says someone took Hurts at the 101. Adam says Neil S., not me. Okay, so Neil S. is the team that took 6 running backs straight. Is he in this draft with us? No. So Iron Griffin goes ahead, takes Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson. The one guy at the turn. Who the hell is Neil S.? What are y'all talking about? Oh, Neil's Iron Griffin. Oh, okay. That makes so much sense. Okay, I'm starting to connect it. Clearly, I'm an idiot. I apologize for it. But do we go back-to-back wide receiver? Generally, I was taking Saquon Barkley over Jalen Waddle. Might as well take Waddle until the Barkley situation's figured out. Also, Waddle has an ADP of 16. Barkley now has an ADP of 18. So it looks like we'll probably be able to get Barkley at a discount in some of these. So we'll go ahead and we'll take Waddle at 16 to pair up with A.J. Brown. Okay. Neil says he is not the guy who took 6 running backs straight. Okay. God, y'all are just confusing me. I'm sure this is horrendous content. Alan coming out of the donation. Thank you so much, my friend. Says, 12-team Superflex trade Stroud a future first, Dotson for Burrow in his second. Hell yes, go ahead and get Joe Burrow there, my friend. I mean, obviously, CJ Stroud, a young, exciting player, but still, I mean, if you're going to be able to get Burrow's an asset from a dynasty perspective that fits any roster and that you can build long-term around Joe Burrow, but at the same time, you can go ahead and you can look to contend immediately. You're not contending immediately if you're going to be with CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud only fits kind of one kind of roster. So yeah, go ahead and go get Joe Burrow there, my friend. But we have Smith going 17. Barkley does go off 18. Going to be interested to see where you have Nick Chubb going in this draft. And of course, real quick, if you have not done so already, drop a like on this live stream. If we hit 600, we'll fire up another draft after this one. And if you want to get into a draft with us, we literally do these every single night on the stream. Have not taken a day off since April. Will not take a day off until the end of the football season. When you sign up with promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You're going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Available in damn near every state. It's the Puppy Tournament. It's a $5 buy-in, $1 million prize pool. Since it's best ball, there's no time commitment during the season. I'm sure you've heard me say it a million times. I won $150,000 on Underdog last year when I drafted 700 teams. But we'll draft over 700 teams again this season. And you can find that link in the live chat and description. Okay. Now, we have Ramadre off the board. 26. Hurts goes 27. Jordan says, does Mason just not get sick? I did get sick and lost my voice last year. I'm sure a lot of y'all remember that. Whenever it was like 2 weeks after we did the 24-hour live stream. Like if we hit 200,000 subscribers on the channel before the season starts, we'll do the 24-hour live stream again. But yeah, we live streamed Underdog drafts for 24 hours straight, and then about a week or two later, I completely lost my voice, but we still made videos and still streamed. It was just the grossest thing you could ever imagine. Now, Jackass here goes ahead and takes Kelsey Andrews on the same team. DK Metcalf in round 2. I've never seen that build before. I have never seen Kelsey, Metcalf, Andrews all in the same roster. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Rex says, talk about being unique. Yeah, talk about being unique. I guess we get Breece Hall. Y'all know I like Breece Hall. I mean, yes, he may be slow to start the season, but at the end of the day, I mean, hell, if he was not coming off a torn ACL, Breece Hall would be going at the 1-2 turn alongside Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor. The reason we're able to get him here at pick 33 is he's coming off the torn ACL, which obviously is a concern, but, I mean, it's price adjusted. Gabriel says, super bully tight end strategy. So, I mean, I've done research into the super bully tight end strategy dating back to all the way when Kelsey and Gronk were both dominant. And honestly, taking a tight end, like 2 tight ends through the first 3 rounds, historically has never worked. I am mixing in some bully tight end strategies, and how we saw, I believe it was Prod do it in the last draft where he went Kelsey mid round 1 and then he went Pitts mid round 7. I could see how that kind of bully tight end strategy would work, where y'all have seen me do a lot of like Dallas Goedert, Kyle Pitts on the same team. I have a very difficult time seeing Kelsey and Andrews work just because the opportunity cost it is to go and get those guys. Okay, so let's see what USA Flying Medic decides to do. He has Eckler, Najee, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Goes Jerry Jeudy. We'll take Lamar Jackson, I guess. Go Lamar Jackson, pick 40. With Lamar, I don't really care if we don't stack him up. I mean, if we don't have a Baltimore Ravens wide receiver that we like at a value, I'll honestly just kind of pass on anybody else. But, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Like, the thing is, I know we've said this a million times. If you're looking at Lamar Jackson, I'm drafting him because I think he can get to 700 rushing yards. That's the reason I'm taking him here. Not because I think he can lead the NFL in passing. Okay, let me also show y'all real quick as we take Lamar Jackson, just going back to why I'm taking him and why I'm not afraid to leave him unstacked. The rushing yardage mark on Lamar Jackson is 825 rushing yards on Underdog. That's the expectation. So I'm fine not stacking Lamar Jackson. Like, I'm even fine saying maybe it's the fewer than 3,500 passing yards. But given the amount of rushing yards he projects to see, I probably wouldn't take the more than on that if you were going to go and look at some of those season-long props on Underdog. But would I draft him in round 4? Hell yes. Hell yes, I would. Okay. Rylan says, yo, Mason, love the Underdog content. Are you doing Dynasty content this summer? I'm assuming you know this, my friend. Just in case you don't, I have another YouTube channel called the Dynasty Football Flock. Actually, how I got started on YouTube is I started putting out Dynasty Fantasy Football videos at the end of 2018, the beginning of 2019. Like, I was only Dynasty for the longest time. Like, literally only Dynasty. But, yeah. So, look up the Dynasty Football Flock, and you should be able to find something there, my friend. It's okay. I know. It's okay. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, big scary dog. Someone wants to come mess with us at the house? Good freaking luck. Good freaking luck. We got a monster that's guarding this place. Okay. Now let's go. Henry says, Mason, will you ever do any high stakes, blah, blah, blah drafts in the FFPC or NFFC? I play in those. No, I mainly stick to Underdog because the thing is, when you're in as many dynasty formats as I am, as well as, how much I have to work on Sunday mornings. To be honest with you, I know we've talked about this time and time again, and I know you probably don't like to hear me say it, and I know most people that make YouTube videos probably wouldn't admit it, but it's very difficult for me to join more leagues than I already have, where I have to submit the starting lineup. Just because I go live about 7:30 Eastern on Sunday morning, and I'm just sitting there answering questions all the way until kickoff. So when I already have like 20 dynasty teams to manage, it's already getting to the point where it's almost impossible for me to be sitting here on a live stream and then submitting my starting lineup across 20 different leagues. So for me to go through and to join any more leagues where I actually have to be submitting my starting lineup each and every week, it's very difficult for me to do that. That's why high-stakes best ball drafts are perfect for me, and that's why I'll be jumping into a ton of high-stakes best ball drafts on Underdog, my friend. Y'all know, I was the only person to win multiple high-stakes tournaments last year. I went ahead and won the Big Dog tournament on Underdog, as well as the Bulldog 2 tournament on Underdog, which was a $250 buy-in. That one we won $100,000 for first place. The Bulldog 2 was a $500 buy-in. We won $20,000 there for first place. But it's just very difficult for me to make that type of time commitment during the season, when during the season I'm working 80 hours a week. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Michael Pittman, pick 57. Okay. Dobbins, Aaron Jones go off the board 60-61. Kittle goes. I definitely would have taken George Kittle if he would have made it back to us. Okay. This is something that we've been doing different than what we've been in the past. In the past, and 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, here with this pick, I go Miles Sanders, and I say, hell, Miles Sanders is a much better option in fantasy than Tyler Lockett. However, specifically in these Underdog drafts, where I do not want to be taking wide receiver after round 7. Round 7 is the last round I would ever want to think about taking a wide receiver. And there are going to be a lot of good, strong running back values. Even if I would rather have Miles Sanders, even if I would rather have Alexander Madison, even if I would rather have Dameon Pierce, I've had to learn the hard way over and over and over again that we probably should not be taking them. That we probably instead should go ahead and take Tyler Lockett here. And when we do, we are just in a much better position with our team the rest of the way because we're able to grab our running back value that we like later. Okay, so Kadarius Toney goes 69. So you're seeing 6th round Toney. Let's move this down. Planet X says, hey, Mason, quick question. How rare is a Kelsey, Andrews, Lamar Jackson start? I would assume it never happens, my friend. I would assume that nobody's going through and starting Kelsey, Andrews, and Lamar. And I would also venture out to say that nobody's winning with that either. Okay. But, of course, I could be wrong. Now, Dallas Goedert goes here. What's very interesting to see is the team here that took Jalen Hurts round 3 decides to pass on Goedert in favor of George Pickens. No, I personally, I'm a big Goedert guy, so if I have Jalen Hurts round 3, it's the perfect excuse to draft Dallas Goedert. And holy crap, did Miles Sanders just go off round 7? If y'all remember when Best Ball Mania initially launched at the end of April, Miles Sanders was going at the 4-5 turn. He was literally going at the 4-5 turn, and here he is in round 7. I've never seen Sanders fall this far. He was highest available according to ADP when we were on the clock at pick 64. So wild to see him this far. Wild. Okay, so Dameon Pierce, 75 as well. Holy crap. Holy crap. Have y'all seen Sanders or Dameon Pierce make it around 7 before? Dameon Pierce was going higher than this as a rookie. As a day 3 player that had never proven anything in the NFL and what should be a worse offense than what it will be this next season. Jeep guy coming out says, how about 12 lucky winners who buy your upcoming merch get to draft in a redraft league with you? I'm actually I'm in a decent amount of dynasty leagues, my friend, with members of flockfantasy.com. For us to do a redraft league, I've thought about some interesting things that we could do. I know I've already told you all this idea, and I think it would be a lot of fun. It's just more so making sure that we're doing it right, and if it's worth the time, is trying to recreate the league like the TV show, obviously on FX, with the experts of flockfantasy.com, and everybody on their channel gets to give away a spot in that league, and we can make an entire new YouTube channel from it. Thought about that idea, which I think would be a lot of fun. It's just more so time commitment. Like, I have free time during the off season somewhat. As we get closer to the year, it just completely goes away. And I know, obviously, I mean, there are people who have families of 8 who wake up at 5 in the morning to go work construction for 12 hours that have it way, 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 way harder than I do. Like, obviously. I'm just a small boy here that can barely function as is. But, I mean, during the season, I legitimately, like, will wake up at, like, 8 in the morning and be working until, like, 2 a.m. every day. So, everything that I have to do, I kind of have to think through the lens of how long will this take me during the football season? What is the time commitment during the football season? Okay, yeah, so this is why we took Tyler Lockett in the last round. I think we made, honestly, the correct decision to go Tyler Lockett in the last round. That way we are able to take Akers and Dalvin Cook, 81, 88. Like, if we're looking at this, if we would have passed on Lockett in favor of Madison, Miles Sanders, or Dameon Pierce, at that point, we'd be looking at having to take Courtland Sutton over Dalvin Cook. I would much prefer the combination of Tyler Lockett and Dalvin Cook than I would Courtland Sutton and Alexander Madison. So I think we have to go ahead. I've honestly felt very comfortable with our teams that we've done this with, and I've really liked these builds. Where, yeah, it sucks. Like, I do not think Deontay Johnson. I do not think Tyler Lockett. I do not think Treylon Burks. I do not think Jordan Addison. I do not think George Pickens. I do not think Mike Evans are better selections than guys like Dameon Pierce, Miles Sanders, Alexander Madison. I think that those running backs will score way more points than the wide receivers on average in that range. But just a couple rounds later, being able to grab running backs like Dalvin Cook at pick 88, where obviously, I mean, hell, he may not find a good landing spot. He may not find a landing spot, and all of a sudden this is a wasted pick. But at the same time, he could end up going to Miami. And if he goes to Miami, then, I mean, hell, at the end of the day, he probably jumps up to being a 5th round selection. So, I don't know. Now let's move this down. And what is everybody doing talking about Antonio Gibson in the chat? What kind of Antonio Gibson argument are y'all having right now? Carson says, what if Dalvin went to Tampa? I have no idea why Tampa would be signing a dusty veteran like that. I don't know why a team that doesn't have any aspirations to try to win this next season would be going and looking at a running back like Fournette, Zeke, Dalvin Cook. Just doesn't make sense in my mind. Of course, I'm not smart, so could end up happening. Let's move this around. Juju Smith-Schuster goes pick 98. I mean, there are a lot of guys I'd be excited about drafting. Oh, I actually don't mind this call at all. Dalvin to New England would be wild. That's the good point, right? James Robinson gets cut, and the thing is, like, oh, who's going to touch the ball outside of Ramondre Stevenson? There's still an outside call that maybe they don't bring in Dalvin Cook, but they bring in Ezekiel Elliott. They bring in, I mean, hell, Leonard Fournette. They bring in Kareem Hunt. They bring in Zeke to be the 1st and 2nd down back, Ramondre to be the 3rd down back. I think that makes a lot of sense. Dylan goes 102. Tua goes, sucks for us. Why the hell would this team take Tua? Why would that team take Tua? Does not really make much sense. We'll go Kamara. I've drafted a lot of round 9 Alvin Kamara, very similar to Dalvin Cook, right? I mean, Alvin Kamara has an extremely wide range of outcomes this next season, where if Alvin Kamara, I mean, were to go out there and get suspended for the entire year, yeah, this team sucks. We wasted a 9th round draft pick. If Alvin Kamara weren't to get suspended this next season, where does he go in these drafts? Probably around, 6, 7? Probably around 6, to be honest with you. If you knew Alvin Kamara wasn't getting suspended, he probably goes around 6. So what I'm trying to do in these middle rounds of a tournament where it's a $5 buy-in, $1 million prize pool, $150,000 for first place, I'm trying to take guys where you could see massive swings with their ADP. They could either go way up in value or way down in value. I'm not trying to take like the steady hand Damian Harris over someone like Alvin Kamara in a tournament like this. If it was a private draft, just a 12-team league, maybe it'd be a little bit different, but not in something like this. Okay. Now, Fry Meat goes, we'll take David Njoku. Completely fine with David Njoku round 9. Round 10 is going to be even better. Fits our roster construction. Really like this team. Really do. And of course, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit the like button. If we hit 600 likes on this live stream, we will fire up another draft after this one. And of course, if you want to get into our next draft, go sign up for Underdog. Use promo code FLOCK and they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Get my 2023 fantasy football rankings. Get a free trial to flockfantasy.com. More importantly, get into some of these drafts. Have some fun with us. But let's move this down. So we were at pick 9. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman, Tyler Lockett. And I guess that's it. Never mind. I guess that's it. And what we have with a wide receiver. Quarterback, we have the elite QB in Lamar Jackson. Running back, we have Breece Hall, Cam Akers, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara. And we have David Njoku at tight end. I really like this team. But Joey coming out with another donation. Thank you so much, my man. With the Kadarius Toney avatar says, got my first Superflex Dynasty League coming up. What's the best thing that I can do to prepare? Honestly, it's more difficult to prepare for a Dynasty draft than it is a redraft league. The primary issue with that is, like, if you were going to prepare for a redraft league, obviously you can spend $3 and hop into an underdog draft, and you can be drafting with a bunch of people that are going to be paying attention from the second that the draft starts to the second that the draft ends. With Dynasty, it's going to be a little tougher. I mean, I would say go to the recent startup drafts that we've done. I'll try to get in another Dynasty startup draft for you relatively soon. But I believe we did one like 4 or 5 days ago on the Dynasty Flock. Look up Dynasty Football Flock. I think we did one 4 or 5 days ago. I think you can look at that startup draft. I think we did another startup draft about 2 weeks ago. Obviously, we have our Dynasty rankings on flockfantasy.com. I'll try to get another Dynasty startup draft going. I mean, it's just mock draft, obviously, for you to be able to hop in, my friend. Okay. Okay, Khalil Herbert off the board, 123. Let's move this over. Let me see how much Kamara I have at this point, because I feel like I've drafted a lot of Alvin Kamara, if I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, Jarrett McKinnon goes. God, how much Kamara do I have? I have Alvin Kamara in a concerning amount of leagues, ladies and gentlemen. I have Alvin Kamara in 20% of these drafts. Okay. Goff doesn't make sense. We won't take Goff here. Do we go another tight end? Actually, I'm going to go wide receiver. Let's mix it up. Let's go Rashee Rice here. I want to get more Rice. Like, if I'm coming out here and saying, okay, I'm not a big fan of Kadarius Toney, blah, 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 I need to be taking some of these Chiefs, right? Like, right now, if I'm looking at this, I have Sky Moore in 9% of drafts. I have Rashee Rice in 9% of drafts. I have Pacheco at 8%. I have MVS in 8%. But then I only have 1% of Toney, 1% of McKinnon, 0% of Kelsey, 2% of Mahomes. I was severely overweight Patrick Mahomes last year. He's my most drafted quarterback. I was overweight Travis Kelsey last year, the year before as well. Generally, you want to be overweight on the Kansas City Chiefs offense, duh. And I'm not willing to do it with Toney. I'm not willing to do it with Kelsey. So I need to get Sky Moore and Rashee Rice from about 9% of these drafts, probably up closer to about like 13, 14, 15%. Okay. Carr goes 134. We're just going to take whoever's highest in ADP here, whether that's Gallup or the year 2 tight end in Tennessee. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll take Michael Gallup here. Not a great pick. I like Gallup a lot more when he was going round 13, round 14, but I mean, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. So wide receiver now, we have A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman, Tyler Lockett, Rashee Rice, Michael Gallup. Running back, we have Breece Hall, Cam Akers, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara. Quarterback, we have Lamar. Tight end, we have Njoku. So we're probably going to go ahead and take a 3 tight end approach here with David Njoku and then 2 very late tight ends. Probably go with the 2 quarterback approach with Lamar Jackson and someone named Trey Lance. Call it a day. Call it a day. Already says, Dulcich has become one of my most drafted players behind Lance, of course. Okay, it just making sure we got the right number 1 guy up there. Let me make sure that Trey Lance is still my number 1 guy. I believe he is. Yep, I have Lance in 24% of drafts, which is a higher percentage than I had any single player last year. Last year, my most drafted guy was Josh Jacobs, which was hovering around 20%. I think we had Jacobs around 20%, maybe 21%. Right now, we have Lance 24%. Okay. So let's move this over. MVS off the board here, 145. Irv Smith Jr. goes. Can someone sell me on Nico Collins? Let me see how much Nico Collins I have. What's the deal with Collins? I have Nico Collins in 2% of these drafts. I would love to hear an elevator pitch. Okay, Adam says he has 0. Does anybody here draft Nico Collins often and want to tell me why they are doing such a thing? Okay, here's one. He's massive. Seems like a cool dude. I have 0 Nico Collins. 1.3 to be exact. Carson has 9%. Tank Dell over Nico Collins. Michael says, if Lance does become the starter, Mason's going to be doing backflip flips on stream. If Trey Lance becomes the starter, and y'all were allowing me to draft the starting quarterback with CMC, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Kyle Shanahan, with rushing upside in round 17 and 18, you better believe I'm having a freaking party. You better believe it. Texans defense won't be good. Stroud's going to air it out. Nico has limited competition for targets in an offense that should be playing from behind a lot. Something about OTAs, something about steroids, blah, blah, blah. We'll go ahead and we'll take Jaylen Warren. I mean, hell, Warren here falls 14 picks past ADP. We need another running back. Probably going to, yeah, we're definitely going to stop at 5 RBs here. But, yeah, we'll take Jaylen Warren. I'll be happy about it. Tyler Algier off the board, 154. What I like about Jaylen Warren, right, is I'm not worried about one of the Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt, Zeke, Dalvin Cook level running backs going to Pittsburgh. Really do think it's just going to be Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren there. Okay. Marvin Mims, 115. Higbee, Everett. Give us our guy. Give us our guy. Come on. Come on. Juwan Johnson. USA Flying Medic on the clock. Roshan's fallen, what, 12 picks past ADP. They pass on Roshan in favor of Singletary. Did Roshan news come out today? I don't see anything. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take DJ Chark. Be happy about it. We need another wide receiver. I'm not a big Jonathan Mingo guy. If I'm not a big Jonathan Mingo guy, kind of, we have to be in on DJ Chark in that instance, right? So wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman, Tyler Lockett, Rashee Rice, Michael Gallup, DJ Chark. Quarterback, we have Lamar Jackson. Running back, we have Breece Hall, Cam Akers, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Jalen Warren. Tico says Chark is fun to say. Definitely. Chark is a good name at the minimum. Jeffrey says, Mason, did you cover it at all? I'll watch the VOD later, but how do you feel about James Robinson? I have a lot of shares. Talked about this at the very top, my friend. Really bad news. I have 11% James Robinson. James Robinson was my favorite dart throw, try to get unique selection in the 18th round. Those teams are just dead. I'm going to rephrase that. Missing on your 18th round pick does not make the team dead. Of course, it is not good. With those 11% of drafts that I drafted James Robinson in, I want to say I'm willing to just write off James Robinson as a complete 0. It sucks. It is a horrendous call. I should be embarrassed by the call that I somehow, some way managed to pick the 1 round 18 guy and say that, yeah, he's my little unique pick that I'm going to try to go and get just in case he is something. And somehow, some way, I managed to find the one guy that was cut before July. So, it is what it is. Now, Amir My Moon Assault says, I got Eckler, Adams, DK, Hopkins, Kittle. Oh, that's interesting, my friend. You got DK falling to an Eckler and Adams start? Very rarely will you see DK Metcalf fall that far. Okay, so Shaheed Hodgins off the board. Let's swing this back around. Okay. Okay, Shaheed off Tajay Spears. Okay, good for us. I don't think we're taking any more running backs with this build. Zeke, good for us. Okay, what's the Dawson Knox news here? Fill me in. Come on. Hurts leg. Injured his lower left leg. I was going to take Dawson Knox. Now I'm probably not. Now I'm going to go Kyler. We can set ourselves up with an Arizona tight end at the very end. I understand a lot of people are going to say, well, Mason, come on, man. Kyler Murray's injured. It's just like Breece Hall. You can't draft Kyler. We're optimizing for weeks 15, 16, 17 here, trying to find the highest ceiling possible. Trust me, I get it. Kyler Murray may miss half the season. I understand. He may miss more. It's a $5 buy-in, $150,000 first place prize. We're trying to chase the highest ceiling possible, and Kyler Murray can give us those spike weeks in weeks 15, 16, 17. And Lamar has a week 13 bye. So I think we can have Lamar as our elite level quarterback to carry at the beginning of the year. And hopefully we get Kyler something near the end of the season. And Nick coming out says, like the video. Thanks, Mason. No, thank you so much, my friend. Yes, go down there. Drop a like on this video. Okay. Jeep guy says, Kincaid's going to rise with that news. Yeah, Kincaid fell, a ton in the draft earlier we were in. We'll take Dawson Knox because why the hell not? We need 3 tight ends. Here we didn't take him in the last round because of the knee thing, but take him at a slight discount. It is what it is. Jeffrey says, those are lies, Mason. The real plan is to have Lance start all year and bench Lamar. So this is something I didn't want to get into, right? But when we take Lamar Jackson here with this selection, and the big reason why we don't take another Baltimore Raven is I actually don't expect Lamar Jackson to be with the Baltimore Ravens this next season. My expectation will be that you actually have Lamar Jackson and the Ravens 2024-2025 first-round selections being traded for Trey Lance. So the reason I take Lamar here at pick 40 is I'm assuming that the Baltimore Ravens are going to send him to Baltimore so they can get Trey Lance. And yeah, so I guess you could say that, my friend. I guess you could say that. Okay. Now Dawson Knox off here, 184. Let's move this over. Jesse says, Sup Mason, do you see James Robinson? Yeah, we just talked about James Robinson. I just have to take a massive L on James Robinson. I can't sit here and say, oh, yeah, no, I love James Robinson, the player. He's going to find a great landing spot. No. If James Robinson lands with another team, if he goes to Minnesota and somehow has a role, I'll be very happy, right? In reality, I've drafted James Robinson in 11% of my drafts. I was taking him as a unique 18th round pick. It is embarrassing and it was horrendous. And I apologize for anybody who followed me with the idea. But, yeah. So I think at this point, we're just hoping that we get another tight end and maybe a wide receiver, right? I think we are going tight end and receiver to end this draft. And of course, if you have not done so already, drop a like on this live stream. If we hit 600 likes, we'll fire up another draft after this one. And of course, if you want to get in that next draft with us, go sign up for Underdog. Use promo code FLOCK. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You will get our 2023 fantasy football rankings. You will get a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And on top of this, have some fun getting some drafts. Best ball, no time commitment at all during the season. I drafted over 700 teams here last year, won $150,000. And yeah, here at this puppy tournament. So you can see the details right here. This is the same place that has those season-long player props we talked about earlier in the live stream as well as yesterday in a video. Okay. So let's move this down. So Trey McBride goes. Oh my God. Am I really going to take freaking Zach Ertz over Hayden Hurst? We have Chark to somewhat correlate with Hayden Hurst. We have like no correlation with this team. Hurst goes. This team's just completely lost. They took 4 quarterbacks. They took Lawrence, Dak, Goff, and Bryce Young. Please don't be taking 4 quarterbacks on Underdog, ladies and gentlemen. 2 to 3 quarterbacks, 4 to 6 running backs, 2 to 3 tight ends, and the rest of your spots you want wide receivers. They go Terrace Marshall. So, hell yeah, we're going to get Josh Downs to pair up with Michael Pittman here. So, hopefully we get some correlation in that way. And probably take Zach Ertz. Maybe as our new unique 18th round pick that will do literally nothing. I actually kind of like Jake Ferguson over Isaiah Likely. Actually, no, hell, we have, what the hell am I doing? We have Lamar Jackson. We can go Isaiah Likely as well. We'll go either Likely or Zach Ertz, whoever falls. We have Lamar and Kyler. Okay. Let's move this down. Rex says, I have a feeling Ertz will be traded. If we're going to be realistic with each other, Zach Ertz is an 18th round selection right now that literally never gets drafted. Like, Zach Ertz never drafted in these drafts. Realistically speaking, Zach Ertz is probably a dud this next season. Zach Ertz is probably literally a 0. That the most likely outcome is Zach Ertz gives you very, very few starts, if any, this next season. But, of course, you can say the same thing about Cedric Tillman. You can say the same thing about Khalil Shakir. You can say the same thing about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Dwayne McBride, essentially any of these guys that are going in this range. So we'll go ahead and we'll take Isaiah Likely as a 3rd tight end. We'll pair him up with Lamar Jackson. So somehow, some way, that's the combo you need. We got it. If somehow, some way, that's what you need. So we were pick 9. Honestly, don't hate the team. Don't love the team. I feel like it is well-balanced, and I'm starting to learn. Even if I think Dameon Pierce, Miles Sanders are way better picks than Tyler Lockett, even Alexander Madison, you take freaking Tyler Lockett and then you grab running back values a little later on. But again, thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us in this live stream. Really, really do appreciate y'all. Really hope you enjoyed it. Have a great night. And as always, I'll be live tomorrow. So if you are not already subscribed to the channel, come out, hop in an Underdog draft with us tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day. And can you all do something for me? Please. Big ask, big ask, big ask. I live stream literally every single day, and I will until the season starts, and honestly during the season as well. It's all I ask for you. When I end this live stream, can you go to the comment section and leave a comment? It doesn't matter what it is. You can leave a comment that says cute dog. You can leave a comment that says you're an idiot. You can leave a comment that says Mason, you're ugly. Whatever it is, go drop a comment. Help us in the algorithm. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a day. Great night, that is. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.